Yeah, just some small connection hiccups. That's all. Minor setbacks.
Minor.
Minor.
There he is.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody.
Hi. Oh, now I see it. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Cool. Welcome to this week's episode of Black and White. I'm Kevin Cunningham, and I'm here with a very special guest, Kevin Grimm, also known as local DJ legend, Kevy Kev.
What's up?
Kevy Kev, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kev.
You like that? Little round of applause for you, my friend.
Lots of great Kevs in here.
Actually, that was a big round of applause. Did you hear that? It's still going.
I can hear it.
That's for you.
I feel well adored. That makes him laugh.
Kevin is not only an amazing DJ, but also a phenomenal graphic designer, illustrator, magazine creator, and just an overall amazing human being.
Oh, gee. Thanks, Kev.
No, thank you, Kev.
Right back at you.
Always a pleasure.
Where would you like to begin, Mr. Cunningham?
Well, we could probably talk for hours and hours and hours.
Mm-hmm. We sure could.
You actually came up in conversation last week, briefly, because I had mentioned one of my Chicago stories, and the one that
was it Cabrini Green?
Yeah,
or
it was that one. No, we'll get into the other one later because I already
okay.
told that one last week. So for
That's
those
probably
of
the
you,
most famous.
for those of you that were tuned in last week for the Chicago story, this is the gentleman that I was at the Kingston Mines with prior to my interesting conclusion to the evening.
Your adventure.
Yeah.
Did you explain the circumstances of how you got there?
Well, I explained, briefly. I explained how it was kind of protocol. Like when you would come into town, you would, go to the record store. Usually, you would typically either I would get something to eat with you or I wouldn't. And then we would meet usually back at my place, cocktails, and then go out, more cocktails, and then usually something dumb happened.
Yeah, every time something dumb happened. When you were working at Supreme, there was a liquor store about 3 doors down. Their story's right there. And every time we'd usually polish an entire freaking bottle of vodka and something stupid before we decided to hit the bricks.
Yeah. Remember, I lived with Urban and Angel Alanis, and we had that whole in our kitchen above the cabinets. Like we would store all the empties, and it was just I think there was about 50 up there at one point.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like a college apartment.
Pretty much was.
Much nicer than your current place.
Yeah. It was nice. I mean, I don't know about it was yeah. I don't know about that, but yeah.
So did you explain that even before you ended up in one of the roughest parts of Chicago, after our night was over at probably the most famous blues bar in all of Chicago?
Yeah.
We went back to my hotel, which was at the time the Comfort Inn at Clark and Diversey.
But it had a hot tub, which was nice.
And I got I think it's called the Lincoln. It's called something else now. It's not Comfort Inn anymore, but it had a hot tub in the room.
Yeah.
which I decided to spring for because I was trying to impress my lady friend.
Yeah.
My ex-girlfriend, Lisa.
Yeah, I remember.
Well, we were all three of us completely hammered, and all three of us ended up in the hot tub. And you and your tighties
No,
were
it
in
was
the hot tub.
boxers. It was boxers.
There's photos to go with the story. You know that, right?
No, I did not know that.
Oh,
Wait
yes.
a minute. I might have known that.
If we get enough requests, I might have to dig them out and post them
man.
up, but maybe not.
Oh, I didn't know there was photos.
Nobody needs to see me in a hot tub. I can tell you that.
I don't. I would like to see those though.
So eventually, I wanted to entertain on my own, if you know what I mean. And so I was like, "All right, bro, you got to go."
Yeah, you guys kicked me out. I know why you wanted. I know you did. You made me leave.
And you left with your underpants in a plastic bag. I think the same bag that we got with the.
That's what I said. Yeah, it was the it was definitely the record store bag for sure.
And then you.
I was resourceful.
Then you almost died.
Okay, I don't want to go. Listen, I'm just going to touch on it real quick again because there was something I left out from last week. The police officer actually told me after he's like, "Are you nuts? Do you even not know what you like? Are you crazy? Do you not know where you are?"
Right.
He goes,
"Right.
If those two guys would have caught you in this alley, we would have found you a bloody mess. Those are the two most violent guys in this area.
Plus, the Candy Man lives there."
And they ended up feeling bad for me. Handy gut. They actually felt bad for me. So that,
right.
Wasn't, good. I'm glad I was in rough shape that night. But
Good style, Casey.
Ooh,
that was a good one.
Oh man.
So that kind of a thing, and I mean that's that particular telling of this story. We should probably preface this a little bit.
But that was one night.
I would like to preface it a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Not everybody knows that you and I are real good buddies from like years and years and years ago.
Yeah.
I am several years your senior, but much more handsome than you.
Oh, God.
So I met Casey one time when he came down to Columbus for a rave party with Sleepy C. And Steven Cinch had this cat in tow. I didn't know who he was, but we knew Steve. Steve was, running a record label, I think called Psychoactive, trying to make his own thing, and which he made some pretty good music back in the day.
Yep.
And had him, and you know what the funny thing is, you were pretty quiet at first. I think probably just because you were feeling out the situation. And then you realized, I think inside of about 12 minutes, that I was just as big an idiot as you are, and opened right up with a barrage of obscenities and strange analogies and terrible bad jokes.
Have you ever heard the term ambivert? Do you know what an ambivert? Okay.
What's that?
So I'm a textbook ambivert. So like I'm very introverted by nature. Okay, very introverted.
Yep.
But I can also be like the 180. So like a lot of times I'm very closed off, and like until like I test the waters with you and I see okay it's safe, and then it's like all bets are off. So I go from like it can go from 0 to 100 like really fast.
That's exactly what it was.
Once I know this guy's okay and I can be a certain way and I can be who I am, then it usually is like gas on a fire.
Right. It literally is, especially when you and I are together somewhere.
Yeah.
It can be strange. The really weird thing is, for as long as you and I have known each other, we've only really played together like a handful of times.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That is
true. But I've gone to many times where you were playing, and you've been to places where I was playing, and there was a time when the synergy between the formats that we played, because even when I met you, I was playing a lot of drum and bass. I was being asked to play a lot of drum and bass, and so I did. And of course, you've like skyrocketed in the world of D&B. So there was that at first, but I think that no matter what, we would have ended up being pals, to the end. When people have asked me about you, like, hey, how do you know KC? I'm always like, he's like one of these guys that is like another bestie that I have that, I could see him every day, or I could see him once a year and we just pick back up like it was 5 seconds ago. And I have that with like 3 or 4 people. And I mean, literally 3 or 4 people. And you're one of them.
Yeah, I have. And I agree.
You, no,
I love you too, man. Like, and that's how you know you have true friends. Like, some people say, well, I don't really keep in touch. Like, I don't, like any of my good friends, I could call anytime. 6 months could go by, whatever. It's never that thing where, well, he's not reaching out to me, so I don't reach. You know what I mean? Like, it's always, there's just always this.
It's
thing.
not like that
with
you and me. No way.
No. And I think once you develop, life happens and people are busy. So, I think you develop that understanding that, no matter what, you're always, be pals,
Sure.
Well, Ben Baez, Dr. Groove from Chicago, says he's in the Twitch chat. He says, I have tons of almost dying memories with Casey. I wouldn't say tons.
You have been cheating on me, bro.
Well, listen, Chicago was, that was a heck of a time,
By the way, that's my sister also in the Twitch chat asking for me to post those photos, so I may have no choice.
Yeah.
Your years in Chicago, dude, were fuel for the fire.
Yeah, I mean,
know what I mean?
How
many years did you live there?
So 3, I think almost 4.
That's it?
Yeah.
I must have come out there a lot.
I think you did. Yeah, you were out there quite a bit.
Yeah.
So
sorry.
No, hey man, you know what? That was, early 20s, mid 20s.
For you, maybe.
For me. Must have been real painful.
That was right before I got my AARP card.
Yeah, must have been real painful for you.
Yeah.
So you probably have, I would imagine, I started going out in 92. I would see you on all the rave flyers. Not to mention you were designing all the rave flyers.
I was designing a lot more than I was playing at. For sure. Back then I was.
Well, you were one of the names that I would see somewhat regularly. And so that was 92. How many years have you been DJing?
Oh, shit. Let me get my calculator. No, I started DJing in like 85.
Wow.
So what had happened was, I was too young to go to college in the first place. I started at Ohio State when I was 17, and we started illegally drinking at a bar called Street Scene like a year and a half later. And we finally found Mean Mr. Mustard's, which is a gigantic part of my life. That was like the alternative bar. Back then they called it the progressive bar.
Yeah.
And I was, alt boy, skater dude, bangs in my face, ridiculous kook, loved all the same music that I still love today. So very rock and roll oriented, but very dance music oriented, and very, at the time, MTV oriented. So anything that was alternative, The Cure, Depeche Mode, New Order, Sisters of Mercy, all of those that's what I cut my teeth on when I very first started DJing. And there's people in Columbus, close friends of mine, don't even know that the guy who originally taught me, how to DJ, and I got to give him credit because he did, was Scully. Scully was also a DJ at Mean Mr. Mustard's. His lesson for me was about 30 seconds long. It really didn't give me a lot, but he was first. And then another DJ at Mustard's taught me way more. A guy I just became friends with on Facebook like last week, Bryant Johnson. And he ended up being my roommate for years and years and years. Bryant used to play, Olympic team handball. And I don't know, he was the coolest. And he taught me basically how to read a crowd, which is probably the most important DJ lesson I ever learned. You know what I mean? How to play, when to play something. And back at Mustard's in those days, we never beat matched anything. We never tried to key match anything. It was not nearly as sophisticated as all this crap. But we learned how to work a crowd. And to this day, I've had, you've been DJing for 30 plus years. People come up to you, hey, can you teach me how to DJ? And I'm like, that's the number one. They just want to learn how to mix. They just want to grab a box of records and learn, or maybe not records anymore, but at the time, by the way, it was all vinyl. So I find myself very, very fortunate to have learned on vinyl. It makes it so CDJs, which are under here, controllers. I mean, this stuff is cake. You know what I'm saying? You learn on vinyl. You're still playing vinyl, like even though you're using Tractor or Serato, you still use vinyl like religiously, correct?
I have recently, I've got rid of all my gear. I got rid of all my DJ gear.
What?
Yeah, I don't have turntables anymore. I don't have anything anymore. I sold it all. Only because I spend so much time making music. It's kind of transferred into the production process. Like I really don't, the need to want to practice at home and play music at home kind of subsided. Like when I would sit down to make or DJ or practice, whatever, I would last like 5 minutes and then I'm working on music. So it really ended up being just, for me, it just transferred into, something else. But
I loved it when you used to do like before the pandemic, and you're probably not, you're very modest. So if anybody who doesn't know, every DJ in the world over the past year started doing this kind of crap online, hey, come watch my show on Twitch. And KC was doing these Sunday morning drum and bass shows all the time. I'd get notification all the time. He was like, in my mind, he was like the first guy on my feed, just fuck it, I'm gonna play some music. You know what I mean? And it's just awesome. Listen to the man work the decks is like magic.
Well, there were guys doing it. I think it's just it's evolved into this thing where you were and we touch on this a lot as far as like, there's a lot of people using just their phone. But that's not a very good experience, especially for music where there's, it revolves around, low end and bass. Like you're just not getting that. So for me to do that from, very simple, just using my phone, I figured out a way to do a direct line in. Twitch didn't have the community it has now. The pandemic really, I think, propelled that forward. But I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, really, all that was about was for me to play music for other people to hear. And that was awesome. A good way. That was a good outlet for me. So, and there was there were some guys doing it, but not to the extent that we're seeing now, obviously due to the pandemic. But
sure.
So did you? And I'm glad you mentioned that because you had always kind of listened to you listened to all the '80s
alternative,
the new wave,
industrial.
And the alternative. So. Did you ever figure out a time in your life where you were like, okay, listen, I want to get more involved or I want to DJ? Like, was there any thing that made you want to get more involved by playing music, or was there a natural progression from, just what you were listening to, then the next thing was, I'm going to start DJing?
I can tell you the 100% honest answer that flipped the switch for me. It's a weird thing, and people are going to go, dude, what's wrong with this guy? But this is it. I used to stand beside the DJ booth at Me, Mr. Mustard's. They had like a barn door, like a half door there that always shut. So if people wanted to come up and make requests, they could, stand there and beg and give the DJ beer or whatever. And I stood on a bench beside there watching what they were doing.
Yeah.
A really weird setup there. So the mixer faced the dance floor, but the turntables were on the wall behind you.
Yeah.
So you were like queuing stuff up, holding something behind you. And I used to watch BJ, Brian Johnson, and Scully play records that way. And I'd never seen a 1200 turntable before. And this is why I wanted to DJ. I looked at records on that 1200, like the beveled edges that it has.
Yeah.
It almost seemed like a little like temple to the record to me.
Well, there was something about the look of a 1200.
That's the real answer.
Yeah,
I was like, I want to do that.
Well, that's actually pretty valid, though. I think it back when DJing was record-based and it was on a pair of turntables, it was pretty impressive to watch to some degree. I
still got the little bevels and the temples right here.
Well...
Kind of.
Yeah, I mean, and I think,
what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's just, but even the experience of buying vinyl, the experience of all of that was something that you can't really replace that, And I'm not saying that technology, I'm not going to go down the whole thing, but
totally different.
It was a different experience, and I just. I miss some of those things about DJing, beyond the DJing part, even the searching for vinyl, when you got a track, how great it was to get that track, going to the record store, was all part of the experience.
I've got like 6 years of student loans in the shelves behind me. You know
what
I'm saying?
I know.
I get it.
Yeah, or paying $10 for an import to play, the one side,
Oh, yeah.
So you kind of naturally had an involvement with electronics and music prior to when the whole rave thing popped off. So,
and as the 80s progressed, it turned more aggro, more harder industrial, more electronics, with the Die Warsaws and the 9 Inch Nails and the Wax Trax records and network records and all that. And I was seduced heavily by that. And then I started playing at a club with Mike G down here called 700 High.
I remember Mike G.
And really kind of got blown up into the world of more traditional dance music, the house music, and the real techno, the inner city good life's kind of early techno-y kind of records. And from there, rave parties started in like 90. I think the first one that I went to was called Rave 1, but they spelled it cleverly like they always did, Rave on E, in Cincinnati in 1993.
Sneaky.
And went to that show, and I met a guy that was playing there, met two very important guys in my life, still in my life. One of them was Richie Houghton. Was playing at that show.
Wow. Was he playing as Richie Houghton? I'm sorry. Or was he playing as Cybersonic with John Aquaviva?
No, he was playing as Richie.
Because they were doing a Cybersonic thing at that time, too, with John Aquaviva.
Yeah, I don't think he was there as Cybersonic. So that was a Tommy Tomato party, another famous rave promoter from the early 90s in here. He lives in Japan now. And Richie, but for me, more importantly that night, I met Boomer Reynolds.
Oh man, Omega Man.
So Boomer was playing that party, and I remember like standing on the side of the stage. I can't remember who I knew and who I thought I could, but I look over and this big, rough, tattooed dude has a huge, skinny puppy tattoo on his calf, and I'm like, who the fuck is that guy? I want to go talk to him. And I am like, the very first time I'm ever like totally no drugs that night, like 100%. Completely honest, no drugs, and I'm drinking Smart drinks. Do you remember that stuff? With they had like more phenylalanine
of course.
in it
That's
than
Smart.
Like
Smart Bar was
Coke.
Based around that whole thing. Well, Smart drinks and rave music, like Smart.
It was
drinks,
like an orange and banana smoothie with a whole bunch of
phenylalanine. Yeah.
So, and I'm like out of my mind. It felt like like I'd done a whole bunch of shit up my nose, and I'm dancing around on the stage by myself to Boomer's set like a moron. And so we became friends, and he, like you, is another guy that I can pick up with any minute, you know what I mean? And I've been friends with him ever since then. So that's like 93, man. I mean, that's a long time to know somebody.
It's a long time. Yeah, it's a long time.
And I've known you almost that long. Like I probably met you like 2 or 3 years later.
Probably.
Tops.
Yeah, probably. Yep. I had started coming down to Columbus 95, 96-ish. So probably pretty close to that.
So right around that time, I started just buying, well, at the time, I just called them breakbeat records. I was also a big hip hop fan. So
was that kind of your introduction into like transforming from like, the gothic industrial stuff into like getting into the rave parties? Did you get into break beats, house music? What kind of grabbed your attention and you kind of went with that?
Well, the house music part of it was kind of already infused into what we were doing, even at like in the alternative club. So even though the mainstays were like Depeche Mode and New Order, we were mixing it, with Todd Terry and Inner City,
Sure. Yeah.
and so that stuff was kind of like a natural progression. I mean, all of those things. It was like a night without genre, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden we'd play Nine Inch Nails, and we literally used to go through synth sets and guitar sets was the way. And then Scully used to get mad because I learned how to beat match after going to a night with him and Chuck Fay up to a bar in Cleveland called Nine of Clubs.
Nine of Clubs. That was Rob Sherwood's place.
And I was like, what are they doing? They're mixing all the records together. And I'm like, and I instantly I went home and started trying to do that. The turntables that I have right now, I bought that year.
Wow.
Like probably 91.
Wow.
Before I, started doing rave parties. And then at one point I was doing rave parties and clubs like 6 nights a week. I mean, it was kind of grueling, playing lots of shows with Boomer, lots of shows around, and everywhere from Pittsburgh to Detroit, and I played a couple shows in LA, and all over the place, Cincinnati, and I played one in Oklahoma.
Wow.
The guys in Oklahoma flew Kevy Kev out.
That's
my claim to fame, dude.
That's great. I mean, but
it was a great party.
So was that ever a full-time thing for you?
Oh yeah, for sure. Graphic design was something I was just doing to make the flyers for our parties. You know what I mean? And then at one point, when it, like I said, when it was like 6 nights a week, and I was like, so in '93, I in particular fell in love with Suburban Bass Records, and I have the entire discography from them at the time, and the acts. Oh shit! Hold on, I gotta change my camera. Hold on.
Oh no. We have some technical difficulties.
Hold tight.
What's going on over there, man?
Oh, I don't know. Hold on a second. My freaking GoPro just died.
What do you mean it died?
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, hold tight. I'm sorry.
It wouldn't be a week without some sort of technical difficulties. These are the things you run into when you do remote interviews, though. Last week, these things happen. Last week's challenge was John Doe's microphone. I think we would have had a better time using a cup with a string.
Maybe. Were you having like a lot of issues last time?
Well, his mic, we had some issues with the mic cutting in and out, and it was doing some funky
I'm
things.
thinking I like had this all like totally pro style.
Well, I guess I'll put me on full screen because you're gone.
All right.
So
I'm trying to get here. Let me check my video here. Video.
Yeah, you let me know when it's up. Actually, I'll see you when it's up. Yeah, I'll see you when it's up. So do you want to continue with can you talk and
well, I mean,
work?
It's just such a long story talking about all the crap that I've done, so
well, not necessarily, but I guess we can I think I'm also wanting to know, like, what were your starting out as a DJ and trying to break in, what were some of your, do you think, biggest challenges or struggles, you know what I mean?
Challenges and struggles. Well, I got to be honest, dude. I was young and dumb and just DJing 6 nights a week and making enough money to sustain myself from that. There wasn't really too many struggles at the time, if that makes sense.
I guess,
you know what I mean? Like, I was just living it up.
Well, I guess what I mean is like
regular jobs and married and all kinds of other crap. But
yeah,
you know what I mean? I just wasn't doing that.
Well, I guess what I mean is like, as far as like breaking in, getting noticed, getting gigs, Was that difficult for you? Was that like, getting, promotion or was that something that just kind of naturally, fell into place?
Well, for me, I had an in with the graphic design element. So I was lucky enough to do a couple of pretty high profile flyers, ones that lots of people got to see. And because of that, people wanted to uh, have me involved. And a lot of times, I never had like a manager or anything like that, but I was kind of like doing my own booking. Sometimes I was doing them for me and Boomer. Hold on a second. Oh, it might come back. It might come back. Let's see what happens. And
so we're gonna have a.
Oh, jeez. Now this is a different. I had to plug into my other GoPro, so my levels might
it's
be
all right. No, you're good.
blown out.
You're good. It's good enough. We can see you.
All right. I don't know why that went dead. Probably because that's my older GoPro. Okay. Hi.
That's better. That way I'm not staring at myself asking you questions.
I mean, the only struggles I ever had was, you start getting involved in anything and all of a sudden there's some kind of drama.
Always.
So the people I was involved with earliest, Richie, Boomer, those kind of people, I was kind of like very loyal to them. You know what I mean? I thought it would help me get gigs, do it more. And at one point, I gained enough notoriety to be like a headliner, right? I can remember at one time in the 90s, and this is a difficult lesson to learn, peeps, if you guys are starting out. So if you're lucky enough to rub a couple nickels together and actually have somebody, and you want to DJ for like a living, okay? Now I'm not talking about producing. You can do that all day at your own pace, but if you want to be in front of a crowd and doing this for a living and you have an opportunity and somebody says, please come and do it, don't let anything stop you from going. So I made the mistake of getting wrapped up in some drama. Like, that guy's not a cool guy to play a party for. You shouldn't go to that.
Yeah.
If you do that, this person's going to be pissed.
Yeah.
And one time when I was a headliner, I was convinced by some bad powers to be to not go, basically F the guy over. And that was just stupid shit. You know what I mean? I was too young to understand the bad that was going to come from it. And I thought I was doing the right thing, and I was not. So if you are lucky enough to be in the good graces to have somebody say, please come play, and you want to play, go play. No matter what says.
But that's also one of those things.
Tear it the fuck up.
That's also one of those things, though, that you learn as a young DJ. I mean,
sure.
Testing the waters.
Right. So I'm going to abbreviate the rest. So played drum and bass and industrial and stuff, not at the same time, but a lot through the 90s, probably up to like 99. I was playing what I called breakbeat, and then all of a sudden people started calling it drum and bass, and then all of a sudden people wanted to take it very seriously, and then they started breaking down all the different kinds of drum and bass, because I'm a dark step guy and I'm a tech step guy.
Well, that's music in general. People did that with everything.
And that used to be really frustrating for me because I like to play 5 genres of music in 30 minutes. You know what I mean? And I would fill my shit with samples and fun stuff and nothing stupid. The darker, the better. I love the emotions of the darker music, but like for me, like one of the greatest guys ever is like DJ Hype. One of the greatest guys ever is like Aphrodite. You know what I mean? Probably not everybody's heroes, but for me, their sounds that those guys were making are like head and shoulders. I mean, those aren't modern day guys. So in the 2000s, I really followed Pendulum, you know what I mean? And after that, like, who are the guys that make the VIP mixes. Is it I can never remember the name now. I'm so out of it with the current drum and bass.
Apparently.
Yeah. So I still have some of the new stuff, you know what I mean? Like but honest to God, in the early 2000s, I came back to my first love of industrial, and I haven't left. So the current night, at least before the pandemic, that I've been working on is called Church. Started Church essentially with my wife, Heather, and a couple of bartenders who used to work at a legendary club in Columbus called Outland. Outland closed. Nobody had anywhere to go. So we went to the guys that owned a bar called High Five. You've been to High Five.
Wait, did I do an event there?
Let me just say this. Your drum and bass
Your
sucks
drum and bass
balls.
sucks. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was that
was
place.
High Five.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah.
So, right, when you came down that one time and you almost got in a scuff with whoever the fuck that guy was. I can't even fucking remember. That was a great story, though. Anyway, so at High Five, we used to do church like every week. And it was essentially a continuation of what, like if I had been playing at Outland 1, it's what I would have done. So for the longest time, the guy who played with me a lot was a guy named Sean Fry, DJ Failsafe. And then every once in a while, my current partner, Travis Boggs, DJ Broken Boy, would come in instead of Sean. Back in those days, it was kind of mostly Sean and then Travis every once in a while. So as that progressed and Outland 2 opened, then Travis and I were kind of like the main guys. We just had church at Outland 2. And Outland 2 is a great club, a very, very strange place in the back of a grocery store. And that went for many years until that shut down. And then we were nomads again. So we took church back to High Five, and then it just got too big for that. So we decided to go to a smaller club because it was too big, and went to a place called the Shrunken Head. And because it was a smaller version of church, we called it Communion. And then I did a one-off event at Ace of Cups that I think we called Unknown. And that was such a success, they decided to let me do a monthly there. And so I grabbed Travis and we started Cathedral. And then I think we've been doing Cathedral for like 9 years.
I just want you to know that I'm so this is all kind of amazing to me and shocking, because I want you to know that I had no idea that the Gothic industrial scene or music was even still a thing. I grew up with that and I loved it, ministry. So I had no idea.
And I can tell you something that keeps it alive. Okay. The coolest thing about goth and industrial to me, okay, first of all, the music, the emotes of the music is very brooding and dark and despotic. And I think that appeals to me because I'm brooding and dark and despotic. You know, I don't got, Robert Smith hair and 5 gallons of eye makeup on, but
yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm as goth as Edward Scissorhands. I just don't look that way. But the music is what drives the whole thing. And what I was going to say about it being so cool is that on any given night, like if you watch what we do on Saturday night, both my hour and then Travis's 10 hours until he can't drink bourbon anymore, we can play a song that came out yesterday and play it with a song that came out 35 years ago, and it's seamless. Happens every set.
So there hasn't been much evolution in the Gothic and industrial sound.
I would not say that. It definitely production wise.
Production standards, I would imagine.
The sounds are heavier. The synths are heavier. You know what I mean? Everything's heavier. But the best of the best newer artists kind of sound like, in a lot of ways, older artists. There's 3 or 4 bands out there right now making great music that kind of sound like 2021.
Yeah, you'll always have that. You'll always have that sort of like people doing throwback stuff or whatever.
Got guys that are all trying to be Depeche Mode.
Yeah.
Guys that are trying to be Sisters of Mercy. You know what I mean?
So you're pretty much saying that any night it could be like a scene out of Blade.
Oh yeah, the bloodbath. That would be awesome.
That's
actually
what I'm hoping. If that happens, I'm coming.
Oh, I got to tell you ahead of time if we're gonna like squirt blood out of the sprinklers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm not coming unless you squirt blood
out of the sprinklers. When can I expect you?
When can I come and play?
Do you want to come down here and play that stuff?
I got all that stuff. What do you mean? I go crazy.
You know, it's funny. We have guest DJs at our cathedral gigs. And one thing that I didn't mention in the story arc of how we got there is that at one point here in Columbus, congruently with our church nights, there was a fantastic fucking party every once in a while called Sweatin' that our friend Scotty used to throw. Sweatin' also was at High Five and was always way too crowded. It was probably what made it so fucking fantastic. In any case, I think I got to play Sweatin' once. Not really the big deal. But Scotty decided to either move Sweatin' or stop doing it there. And the guys who owned High Five at that time, which actually was Scully at that point and ended up buying it, him and Red, who used to manage it, asked me to fill in the space. So I started a night called Juicy. And look, man, I'd been DJing for so long, I wasn't trying to headline these things. So there's so many DJs in Columbus that I was like, oh, you DJ? Let me hear a mix. Yeah, you're playing Juicy. So it was basically a breeding ground of almost anybody who wanted to be on the decks, and we had them play a Juicy. It was a really, really fun night.
That's cool.
There might be somebody that was like aggro tech, and then there might be somebody that was like deep house, and then there might be somebody that was like drum and bass, and then there might be somebody that was like, you know, trip hop. You never knew what it was going to be.
So I think I remember playing a gig down there.
You did. You played a Juicy party.
And they hated it.
They didn't understand what you were doing. They just, that's the thing. Not everybody goes over big. You know what I'm saying?
It didn't go over big at all. I was like, this ain't working. Nobody wants to hear drum and bass right now. Like this right here.
I fucking loved it.
Oh, I'm sure you did. And I loved it. But I'm like, nobody likes this. Nobody. I should be playing at 2:30 to get everybody out of here.
You want to hear a funny Juicy story? Totally. And you're gonna laugh at this. So there was a band, pretty famous band now, that wanted to play Juicy, and I said no. This is what happened. So every once in a while we'd have a live, like a techno-y kind of an act, live techno that wanted to play. I think we had ill atmospherics once. The guy plays with a live drum set and stuff.
Yeah.
But one night we had a band called Pyro Fighter, who my pal Billy Arnett and this girl named Danny used to front up. And they were kind of like synths and techno and guitars, but they took up the whole stage, right?
Yeah.
We had DJs play after, and my whole thing was when you mix live gigs and DJs, it's a mess. It's a total mess because the band has to clean up
for the sound guy. Yeah, it's a disaster.
The sound gets fucked up. It makes like a weird lull in the night where people
transition wise and all that stuff.
Party we can go to. You don't want people to leave, so we did it. And even though they brought their whole crowd, it fucked up the night. You know what I mean? So I decided no more bands. Then a little guy came up to me and asked if his band could play. And I was like, what's the name of your band? He's like, 21 Pilots.
Well,
true story.
Oops.
And I was like, yeah, we're not really going to do bands here anymore. Yep.
Was it Tyler? Is that who came up to you?
I don't know which guy it was. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if they came to Juicy a lot. I have no idea.
That's funny, man.
I didn't see him very often, but I mean, obviously 21 Pilots from Columbus. They were there.
Yeah.
The guy came up to found out that I was the guy that was the promoter. And I was just like, yeah, we're not really going to do that. What a fucking mistake.
Oops.
Whoops.
Nah, that's all right.
But either way, even with 21 Pilots, as they were, and a Grammy award-winning act and super cool guys that they are, now, but they just it still would have fucked up the night. You know what I mean? It would have been a band playing, and then you got to move the band gear and get the DJ stuff out there. So, no regrets. But during the whole time with Juicy was going on, we were also doing church. So church has been going on now since, God, I think 2004, something like that.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, 2004 I think was the first one. So, God damn, that's almost 20 years.
Yeah, that's crazy. And you get a good turnout, huh?
We do. We do it twice. Decent. We do twice a month. So before the pandemic hit, we were doing the bigger of the two nights is we call Cathedral at Ace of Cups, and we probably get 200, 250 people in there, and 250 people in there makes it
I wasn't
really,
even expecting you to say close to those kinds of numbers, man. That's awesome.
And then the smaller of the two we do in the later part of the month. We were doing second Saturdays and fourth Fridays. So the fourth Fridays we were at a bar across the street called Space Bar, which is also normally another live music venue. And it just kind of helped keep Cathedral like the special thing. People can't miss Cathedral. It only happens once a month. You know what I mean? So we always tried to make it like kind of some kind of a funky theme, something that was cool that related to our crowd, whether it was a movie coming out or something, you know what I'm saying? So I worked really, really hard on promoting that night. And then the very last Cathedral that we had was right before the pandemic hit. We had what is normally our biggest night of the year, our Broken Hearts Ball in 2020. And then everything shut down.
Yeah.
Then we did nothing for like 3 weeks, and then we started doing this.
You do the Twitch streams, right?
Yep. We do them every Saturday night. Basically, the way that we do it is that I have my own Twitch channel, which is also hosting our show today.
Quick, plug your Twitch channel. What is your Twitch channel?
Twitch.tv/Kevy Kev 35 KEVY 35 is my Twitch channel
for all of your gothic and industrial needs.
But actually, far more important than my own personal Twitch channel, Twitch.tv/GothChurch GothChurch. So what we always do is that I play for an hour on my Twitch channel. Goth Church hosts my channel. And then we make a switch over to Travis, who also has his own Twitch channel. And we figured out a couple of weeks ago, because it's normally a gaming platform, that I can send everybody who's watching on my hour over to his audience by doing a /raid command in Twitch, which is really cool. I don't always do it right. And he's like, God damn it, you didn't spell it right or whatever. But when it works, it's awesome. Like everybody just automatically shows up on his feed. It's pretty cool.
All right, so listen.
Go ahead. We haven't had, this is the thing, man.
Well, I know I got to speed you up a little bit.
It's been an hour almost.
Yeah, I know. I got to get you moving along a little bit. We haven't really brought up
any of the torrid stories, which as I knew this was going to happen.
Well, there's one that we're going to talk about for sure. There's one in particular that is going to come up.
Okay.
But
what did to me was the big titty she had.
Hey, man, it's a children's show. I told you that. Listen, if my mom's watching, my mom's going to take my mom's going to have a whole different opinion of me if she watches any of these.
Okay.
That's all right. I'm
so
46
sorry.
now. It's all right. It's okay.
All right. What's the one you want to tell? Which one, dude?
Well, the only one I was going to... What?
Do we want to go with Fat Boy Slim Night?
Yeah, well, that's the one that always sticks to my mind.
Is that the one? Okay,
that's the one that sticks to my mind. Hold on. Before we get to any stories, I still have a couple things that I want to just touch on real quick with you.
Okay, go ahead.
Like some actual, normal stuff before we go. Because it usually... I start off pretty normal and then it goes off the rails. But because I knew with you, I'm like, I got to try to keep him somewhat normal as long as possible. And then maybe
we're very normal. Okay, go ahead.
See
what do you got?
So you started off on vinyl. Obviously, you have a controller in front of you.
I do.
So making that crossed over, do you think that the technology as far as the digital has been more of a help, or even with music, digital in general has been more of a help, or
a detriment?
been more harmful for the DJ industry and the music industry?
100%, I am on the side of it has been helpful. And I'll tell you why. You started on vinyl. These fucking things are heavy.
They are heavy, but we're old.
They are heavy.
You can't base it on the fact that you're 80 years old.
No,
and
but
the weight
when
of a piece of vinyl.
80 years old and I was hoofing wooden Peaches crates blocks down the street filled with records because I wanted to play, my music, right? That sucked.
But you totally sound like, your dad. When I was your age, I used to lug crates of vinyl up 5-10 blocks. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I mean, we all did it.
Okay.
Did you probably own some brown orthopedic shoes, and did you use a walker too? I mean, you're making it sound like you were handicapped.
Back then I wasn't.
And nothing against anybody.
Today is another question.
I'm not taking a shot at anybody who's handicapped.
I mean, look, man. Huffing around records sucks.
I'm talking about beyond the weight. Yeah, obviously that's a thing, and the convenience of it. Yeah, I get it, man.
There are some major advantages.
Listen, your girl's telling you I had to help you. You're making your poor girl help you carry heavy vinyl.
I've never done that.
Well, that's not what she said.
Right. Well, I mean, she's the one that doesn't lie. So, in any case, I mean, there's obviously some major advantages to having learned on records. You know what I mean? There's no sync button on a 1200. You know what I mean? And do I use the sync button on this thing? Abso-fucking-lutely I do. Because it opens up whole other possibilities of being able to be creative during the transitions.
Okay, but you're using it.
Yep.
Since you knew how to beat match, you are
That's
using
correct.
the sync button as you are not using it as a crutch. You're using it as a
tool. That's
so
correct.
How much does that hurt people who've never learned to beat match and they're not using it as a tool? They are using that specifically to mix.
Well, they're definitely.
And I'm not putting that down. I want to be clear. I'm not putting that down by any means. If that's how you learned, I get it. I'm not putting that down. I'm just your opinion.
They're missing out on learning an important skill when it comes down to it. Look, when you are DJing anywhere, any crowd, any genre, when you're doing that, what is occupying your attention completely is whether or not you have to ride a pitch control. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I mean by ride the pitch control.
I know exactly what you mean.
To keep things on.
Yep.
That can be a major distraction. You know what I mean? There's a lot of crap on this thing. There's a lot of crap on this thing that I don't even use. I probably use 3 effects out of the hundreds that I have for the thing. And if you listen to the show, you'd know what they are. But still, knowing how to do real beat matching, and when I say real beat matching is doing it without a sync button, gives you an advantage when you do have this because it helps you pick similar songs. It helps you make things go together that should go together. And, I don't know.
Well, I don't need that. Maybe you need that stuff. I don't need it.
Of course you don't. You just cut into everything.
Oh,
right there
that reminds me. You made a little. You were kind of fronting on me a little bit.
How's that? About whether or not who's a better scratcher?
It's fighting words.
All right, let me put that to rest right now. When I was playing a lot of drum and bass and mixing a lot of hip hop with it, I used to do a lot of cutting and scratching over drum and bass. It was kind of my thing.
I'll show you kind of my thing.
That was before I met you.
Now you're talking some sense.
This is 100% true. Then when I saw you play, I went, yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that. I wanted to be DJ Hype, and then I wanted to be KC. Honest to God. I got nothing close to your skill set there. Not even in the neighborhood.
Well, I appreciate your honesty.
For me, no, I just want to tell you this. For me, watching you play drum and bass and doing it like cut and scratch style is like beyond amazing to me. I love watching you do it.
I love watching you do it.
Yeah, but what you're talking about is when I'm naked in the hot tub.
Don't like watching you do that.
So, do you want to get into this last Chicago story, or do you not? One more?
No, I think that's, yeah, I mean.
I can tell it quick.
It's not really the.
You're like, I don't know, maybe not.
No, I don't care. Go ahead. If you want to tell it, tell it. I mean, it always, all of these stories start the same. So I'll start it and you can, so pretty much.
We come meet you at Supreme Records.
So I used to work at a record store in Chicago called Supreme Records. I moved there in.
Great record store.
I moved there in 98, 99. Ended up getting a job at a record store. Was the drum and bass buyer for the store. Oh, little fun fact that I never told anybody. I don't know if even you know this. Just thinking about Chicago, and a reminder that a friend on my Facebook feed took a picture of a VHS tape today and posted it. And it says, I'm not going to say the girl's name, but the last thing is Springer. Okay? I was on the Jerry Springer show. 1990.
That's right. I did know that.
Did you know that?
I knew you were on the Jerry Springer show.
I was on the Jerry Springer show. I think it was 94.
Okay.
93, 94. So I'm going to see if I can get that like somehow
the video
transferred. Yeah.
Sure.
So I can share that. It's pretty entertaining. And then
that'd be great.
But there's a whole story behind that too. Like we almost got sued. Lawyers are calling us. Like it was a disaster. Yeah. It was bad. It got bad. But
yeah, that show's totally not staged, right?
Well, some things got brought up on the air that you're supposed to tell them everything backstage, like with the producers, like everything. Like you can't bring up anything new. Well, since this whole thing was, whatever, we didn't really, things just started getting brought up that were just made up. And they're like, wait a minute, you brought up a bunch of stuff that you didn't tell us. And like my friend brought up, he brought up the fact that he had a restraining order on somebody. And,
oh, shit.
And they were like,
I didn't know that.
So he brought this up and they were like, well, then we need to see it. And he didn't have one. He had to file one on somebody who didn't even do anything. Just to avoid getting sued. They were trying to sue us for the cost of like the production cost of the whole show. They're like,
because there was a big fight.
Well, they were like, if this whole thing is like not factual, we can't air it. If we can't air it, then we just lost all the money for the production of the show.
Ooh, ouch.
Oh, they aired it. We just stuck to our story. My mom was like, Jerry Springer, Lloyd are still calling.
All right, listen. I want to tell this real quick.
It's not that quick.
All right?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Buckle in, bro.
I already know it. What do you mean? I already know it. I already know it.
Can you roll up your sleeves for a second? Let me see your arms real quick. Yeah. You know why I'm asking. Oh, you're all tattooed now.
I've been tattooed. Right. I've been tattooed since like 2000 and.
Dude, I haven't seen you naked since like, 2004. Whenever the fuck that was.
So wait, hold on before you start. So the story is, I just want to interrupt real quick. I worked at a record store. Kevin would come visit, plan these trips, either to go see somebody or sometimes it was just to hang out. But this particular weekend, Fatboy Slim was playing at Congress. Was it Congress? No. Where was he playing?
Aragon.
Do you remember? Aragon. He's playing at Aragon. Yep. Typical Kevin comes in.
Room.
Kevin comes in with a friend this time, buddy, guy friend, no girl.
Yep. No girl.
Typical shop at the record store, whatever. I get done working, back in my place, drink, get a cab. On our way to Fatboy Slim.
The person that I bring is my close buddy, Reiner. Reiner, I've known since the 80s, since the Mustards days. Reiner also is kind of a Columbus staple and owns a big company here called, well, it used to be called S77. Anyway, Reiner and I reconnected after not knowing each other for, I don't know, 10 years when we both worked at Mills James. And I think we were still working at Mills James when we came to visit you, and we wanted to come to see Fatboy Slim. I was a huge fan, and he was a huge fan. We came up, met you at the record store, got our traditional bottle at the liquor store next door. What is it that guy used to say all the time?
I don't want to do it because it will not sound. I can't do it because it's going to sound.
What is it he said?
I don't want to say it because it's going to sound racist. I don't want to say it because I'd have to do the voice, and I don't want to do the voice because if I do the voice, it'd be like, man, what's the matter with you? I mean, I want to do it, but I'm not going to do it.
Inappropriate.
But it's literally, I'm not making fun. It's like, it's endearing. It's not endearing, but I'm just trying to replicate the experience. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm not going to do it.
Okay, that's fine. It doesn't. It's not the best part of the story anyway. So we get our bottle.
All I'm going to say is, I'll say it in my voice. How you doing today, buddy?
I don't even know if I'm going to be able to continue after that. Oh my God. That guy was so funny.
Listen, he was the nicest guy. So add whatever you in your mind you think that may have been.
Kind of sounded a little bit like Balky from Perfect Strangers. Little bit.
Super nice. I was in there every day.
We'll leave it
Super
at that.
Nice guy.
Everybody's like, what the fuck is Perfect Strangers? Anyway, so we start drinking, and Reiner doesn't drink. He's not.
Oh, he didn't drink. I forgot about that.
Remember that? He doesn't drink.
He doesn't drink.
Since then, he's been born again. But at the time, he didn't drink.
Well, besides that, too. Besides the fact that he didn't drink, Reiner was not the type of gentleman that was necessarily like hip to our antics. I don't think he seemed very hip to that sort of like
he experienced it that
very
night.
Very straight, again. You know what I mean? Just, which is fine, but you know, we were jackass before jackass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he wasn't prepared for what was going to happen. That's for sure.
Which wasn't awful, but for him it probably was.
Well, you and me polished off an entire bottle of like effing vodka or something like that. You know, like it was really stupid. And this is before we got in the cab to go to Fatboy Slim.
Yeah.
So I think you were living with Urban.
I was actually, it was 1247 West Erie. Still remember the address.
So
yep.
We're hammered, completely hammered. We get in the cab. Oh, the arm thing wasn't until we left.
That was on the way. Yeah, right. No, that was when we were leaving. That was,
that?
Thank God, that was leaving.
So at the time, not sure 100% why, Kevin up there or below or over there or over there.
Me. Me,
he
Kevin.
was into basically playing a game, weird kind of a game of chicken, where you took a lit cigarette.
No.
Hold on. You gotta let me tell this part. And I don't know why he was doing this, and I don't know who he was doing it with.
Probably
I
Urban.
didn't witness the game happening.
Yeah.
But I witnessed these scars up and down his arm, and I'm like, dude.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Fuck happened to your arm? And he's like, oh, well, I've been playing this game where we, put this lit cigarette, and whoever flinches their arm away is the chicken.
That was a weird, twisted game.
I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? So we're like having this whole debate in the cab on the way to the Aragon. Completely hammered. Get out of the cab a block away from the Aragon. I get out of the cab, waiting for the other two guys to get out of the cab. And I do like a Mario jump. And I'm like, fuck yeah. And I jump up in the air. And I come down with my foot half on this planter that is like, part of the sidewalk a block away.
Yeah.
And my ankle goes, boom. And I'm like, oh shit. Like a really like I found out later I'd totally broken my ankle.
I didn't know that. I didn't know you broke your ankle.
That we just kind of like, and there was no way we weren't going to go to the show.
Yeah.
So you and me are like arm in arm, like on each other, and Reiner already is like, oh my.
Yeah, he's had enough at that point between the drinking
guys
and
are just so drunk.
Yeah, he's had enough already.
We're running around in there, and the show is. I think it was actually Fat Boy Slim and the Chemical Brothers. It might have been. I can't remember. For sure,
it might have been. Yeah.
So we're leaving. This is hours later. We keep drinking while we're there, and we're leaving. And we get in the cab, and Reiner. By the way, the entire time you and I at the Aragon were inseparable. We never even saw Reiner. He was like,
that's right.
Elsewhere.
He like disappeared. Yeah.
He found us.
Yeah.
He was like, hey, I think it's time to go. We're like, okay. We jump in a cab, and I'm looking at your arm, and I'm like, that's fucking disgusting. And you're like, shut the fuck up, bro. And I'm like, I'm going to fucking pick one of those scabs off there. You're like, go ahead.
But hold on, but you're missing.
And Reiner
that's
is
why.
sitting
Listen,
on the far, I think I'm sitting in the middle, and you were sitting on one side. Reiner's sitting on the other side. It's
but
like,
hold on a second.
Oh my god, if you guys don't fucking stop, I'm gonna fucking vomit. And I'm like, come here, give me your arm.
Listen, hold on a second. Listen, you're missing. This is why I tried to interrupt you before. Yeah, so there's one thing you're missing.
Go ahead. What did I forget?
Okay, in the midst of the cigarette game, at one point, MC Black Guy, who was like a big drum and bass MC in Chicago.
Okay.
Me and Urban, and Urban was involved in a lot of this sadistic, twisted stuff too. I'm gonna have to have him on. He was a maniac too. So MC Black Guy was giving people smiley faces with a lighter. Do you know what that is?
Is that where you actually like burn them with a hot lighter?
you take the lighter, okay, and you keep it on for a while till it gets really hot, and then you take it and you like lightly dab somebody so it leaves the 2 wheel marks, and then like the top of the, you know what I mean, like the top of the lighter.
So basically assault.
So just real, I mean, like, so we were game to this. I'm like, oh yeah, I want a smiley face for whatever reason.
That's
I need one of those.
So fucked up.
Yeah, I need one of those.
Right.
Well, my smiley face was a little different. So he left it on and then just took my arm and took his other hand and held it on. It literally melted the skin off.
Oh.
It melted the skin off.
Oh my God.
So I had an open sore on my arm. It was the size of a quarter. It was big.
Oh yes, I remember.
So by the time, you saw the scab that was a result of that. You saw like the scab that looked like a cornflake on my arm. That was like a red cornflake.
Yeah.
So by the time you had been there, it had been like hardened up and dry, and it was pretty gross still. And I'm picking at it, and you. That's when you. That's the scab you went after.
I'm gonna fucking pick that up, and
that's the
Reiner's
scab
over here,
you
like,
went after.
Crying, like, please, can you guys fucking stop? And you were just like so drunk, and you're just like, yeah, go ahead, bro, go ahead. And I'm just like, oh fucking figure, and I grab it and I fucking ripped it off. And you don't remember that? I ripped it off, and Reiner.
Don't you remember? Yeah. Do you remember what I did with it?
Reiner's banging his face against the.
Do you remember what I did with it?
Against the other side of the cab, like, oh my God, you guys, fucking blood is just pouring.
Do you remember what I did with that scab? Which is what made him even more sick.
I can't remember.
I ate it.
Oh. What is wrong with us? Oh my God! Oh Jesus!
That's what.
Oh, my stomach
That's
hurts
what kind
now.
of sent him over the top.
Oh man! Oh my God! Anyway,
got to have your nutrients.
I don't think he stayed with us at your place that night. As I remember, well, truth is, I don't remember much. I definitely don't remember getting out of the cab.
Well, that's not surprising.
Yeah, that I don't know what happened.
Oh man.
But yeah, There's plenty more where that came from, but
your drum and bass sucks. Yep, yeah. So that was a doozy.
It was more about the torture of Reiner than it was
for sure. Absolutely,
really, because you and me being idiots.
Well, what was kind of normal for us was probably not very normal for most people. No. You know, I think we've been desensitized.
Nowadays, Reiner would say, "I would have no problem with that." Reiner is a wild child.
Oh, is he? Well, maybe that was the event.
Maybe it's our fucking fault.
Maybe that was the start of it.
It could be.
Maybe he went home and started ripping scabs off his arms and eating them.
Right. Oh. Wow. There goes my stomach.
I don't know if I actually ingested it, but it was in my mouth.
I thought I threw it out the window. I can't remember.
Well,
but I mean, we were both in a drunken haze, so.
At one point, it was definitely in my mouth, but.
Well, we were hungry.
That's what I said. I get my nutrients.
Good Lord, dude. All right, so at this point, this is probably the longest show you've done.
No, man, I go 2 hours or more sometimes. Yeah, I mean, they go as long as they need to be. So, personal questions.
Go ahead.
Some are simple. Some are very simple.
The personal question?
Some are, not very personal.
For you, bro, anything. Let's have it.
Easy, basic shit. Okay. Nothing, some of it's very simple. Favorite food, all-time favorite food?
Peanut butter.
Are you joking? Are you being serious? This is why I asked this question, because that's bizarre.
Right? I used to be like 300
pounds. You just say peanut butter?
I said peanut butter.
You mean like if you were stuck on an island
let me clarify.
For the rest of your life, you did peanut butter?
Yep. Jif creamy peanut butter.
Listen, I don't care if it's God's gift peanut butter.
It's peanut butter.
It's peanut butter.
It's my number one.
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter.
You're joking. I don't know to take you serious.
That's straight face,
Heather?
Bro.
Is Heather still in the chat?
Wife.
Is she still in the peanut butter?
She's downstairs. Yep.
Wow.
Peanut butter, bro.
That's crazy. Do you still eat a lot of peanut butter?
I try not to eat as much peanut butter because, as you remember, I used to be a very heavy Kev.
Do you think that was from peanut butter? No way.
No, it wasn't because of. No, I hope not, because I even through all the weight I lost,
Yeah, your wife said it's peanut butter.
I don't eat nearly as much peanut butter as I used to. But, sometimes if I'm hungry for a snack, I just get out a spoon of peanut butter.
Awesome.
Is that amazing?
I know
I'm not alone.
That's
my sister Casey. If she is still listening, she's the
a little shocking.
No,
it's a little shocking.
It's from our dad. It's not our fault. It's not our fault. Yep.
Oh, she did. She actually, your sister did say, yeah. He said it's her favorite too. It's genetic.
She says he's not joking. I can see her comments up there now.
Wow.
Yeah, peanut butter, dude. But for me, Jif creamy. Anything else is like sacrilege. I can't do some Skippy. I hate that shit. You gotta stir.
You're a peanut butter
all
snob.
That natural organic shit, and I'll take a hike.
So Jif creamy, specifically Jif creamy.
Creamy.
Wow.
You got it.
All right.
What else you got?
Bad habits. Any bad habits? Worst habit. What's your worst habit?
Lots.
Worst of all.
Probably my worst habit is that I'm always running late.
Really?
I never give myself enough time to finish. Even today, it made us late. It made us late for our start. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, we were ready, and then Kevin did like 3 microphone switches for no reason. He's back to the same one he started with.
Right, and now I've had to do camera switches.
Yeah, and a camera switch.
Yeah, if I could turn the camera around, I could turn the camera around.
And I was so proud of you, just so you know. I'm like, man, the mic sounds good. Your pictures, everything's great. You were prepared, though. You were prepared. Then you let me down. No, I'm just kidding. You didn't let me down. You never let me down.
This control center of shit that I have.
It's a lot. You know what? The older you get, it's a lot for old people. So
say again?
It's a lot for old people. I get it.
Let me get my cane and my ear horn.
You're probably thinking that shit you need to plug into your body.
I had a hard time hearing you there, sonny.
So what do you think? What do you think people misinterpret about you?
You should have sent me these ahead of time.
Nope.
I don't know.
Nope. Is there anything that
what do I think that
you
they
feel
misinterpret about me?
Misunderstood.
I really don't know. I would say that probably. Okay, so in the past couple of years, especially the past year before the pandemic, we started seeing lots of new faces at our cathedral nights. There, and so many so that at more than one occasion, Travis and I would look at it and we would go, "Who are these people?" It's really cool that there's all these new people here. We don't know who they are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we've been kind of the guys having there's more goth industrial nights than just ours, but ours was just probably the most well attended, the most well known. So we knew the people that followed that kind of music, that followed that kind of scene. And all of a sudden there was all these people that we've never seen before, both of us. So
that's pretty cool though. Especially
it's really,
in that
really
kind of scene,
cool.
you know?
It means it shows us a level of sustainability for the popularity of the night. So we're going full steam ahead. A huge reason. I mean, look, I have a Twitch stream. We do Twitch shows every single week. I'm not monetizing our Twitch stream. People can tip us if they want, and they have once or twice this past year, but we're not doing this to make money. I mean, there's other people out there trying to make money. The reason that we do these shows every Saturday is to do our best to keep the crowd, the people who are interested in that night that live in our community or don't live in our community, interested in wanting to be together. So when we are allowed to be together, boom, it'll all of a sudden happen.
Sure.
Like a rubber band snapping back.
Yeah.
I was going to say that probably the only thing that people misinterpret about me is that I don't really look like a goth, really.
Yeah, I could see that.
Not really. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
I mean, I guess when it comes right down to it, I'm probably a little bit more, when it comes to the subgenres of goth industrial nights, I'm definitely a little bit more synth pop. You know? I mean, that Depeche Mode for me is top of the list.
Well, I know.
So I love the synth pop acts, but then I also love the aggro acts and stuff that's I like the sing along stuff. But if anybody sees me up there thrashing my head around after 3 or 4 shots of Sambuca,
oh Lord,
and the crowd's going ape shit and the lasers are blinding everyone, then they look up, and I really don't think anybody gives a shit what I look like. You know what I mean? They're just kind of like, wow, man, this room is on fire. So at least I feel like it is. So, I mean, I'm old, man. That's why I keep doing it. Because
how old are you now?
I love the feeling of doing that.
How old are you now?
A girl never tells.
How old are you? You know what I said. You don't want to answer.
I am 55.
Holy shit. For real?
Yeah. How old are you?
No way.
I'm 55, bro. 55 in December, this past December.
What?
I'm not. What the fuck did you think was the answer?
How could you be 55?
I was born December 27, 1965.
I don't believe it.
Yep.
Well, Carla is actually in the chat. She's also, I have a moderator. She's been a godsend. She's like the Twitch Jedi, I call her, because she knows all the ins and outs of Twitch and
nice.
Made some commands, and she did the same for Tic Tac. He does a live stream, and
yep.
She's like the group. She's like our group, our little small group moderator.
How do I get her on the payroll?
You'd have to talk to her.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
She's amazing. Yeah, she knows all the ins and outs of the Twitchery.
Thanks, Carla.
She's 51. I'm 46.
Yeah, what's this thing right here?
It's called gray hair. I mean, what do you mean? What's this thing here? It's old. I'm gray.
Dude, I'm keeping just for men in business, bro.
No, I don't mess with it. This is what God gave me.
You should see when I let this shit
that's what God gave me.
I look terrible.
Hey, Doug Holmes is on Facebook chat.
I see him. 55 fake news. What's up, Duggar? That's my business partner in my real job now. The design and print company Fireball Press that Doug and I co-own here in Columbus now.
Oh, so real quick, Kevin is so I also do design, but Kevin is like a phenomenal graphic designer and illustrator. I actually brought up your DeviantArt page that I'm going to show everybody, just to show them where they can go and find some of your stuff. So
right.
So this is his DeviantArt page. If go look at this in color, but his illustrations are phenomenal. Really,
I
really.
find your lack of no disturbing. I love that one.
Like really, really good stuff. And what, I'm an illustrator guy, and I know that you are a Macromedia freehand guy. Which are you still using that?
I am still using that.
You must belong to like a Macromedia freehand like group, because nobody uses that anymore.
No, I'm I'm a member of a couple of
that car is phenomenal.
Groups.
That car is an illustration, just so everybody knows. That's an illustration. So
that Mustang?
Yeah, it's like a product model.
Really
up
here
good.
For a really, really long time.
And I was gonna ask, I know a lot of this stuff is some of it I haven't seen, but a lot of this is. Oh, that one's cool. Yeah, these are all awesome. Really good. Really, really good, man.
Thanks, brother.
Really good. For you.
Not bad for an old guy.
No, phenomenal stuff, man. Like,
a lot of those illustrations I actually made for Juicy Flyers. In fact,
and I had remembered that, yeah.
There at the bottom.
Super good.
Because I always tried to keep the style of them kind of like that, that vector image kind of simplified thing happening.
Yep. Yeah, I saw. Super good, man. Yeah, so if you get a chance, DeviantArt. Is there a DeviantArt Kevy Kev 35?
I think it's Kevy Kev 35.
It is. Yep, DeviantArt Kevy Kev 35
is like my sock mead everywhere.
Yeah, sock mead. Okay.
That's my sock mead, bro.
Outside of DJing, interests, hobbies, what do you do?
What did it to me was the big titties she had.
Man, listen, I hope you're talking about your girl. Okay.
Outside of DJing,
what do you do?
Lots. So I'm a huge football fan. Grew up in Cleveland, so it's kind of hard not to be a Browns fan, but I didn't mean football in that way. So I'm a huge Columbus Crew fan.
I knew that.
And I'm probably even a bigger West Ham United fan, which is a puzzle for some people because that's a team in East London. Soccer for me blew up after like 1997. After the first time that I went to a West Ham United game. I'd already started going to Columbus Crew games back in 96 when they very first started here. But I mean, people, your audience probably doesn't give a rat's ass about that stuff. Most people that are deep into the DJ scene are like, sport ball. What the fuck is that?
No, listen, it's not about that. It's about you.
Sport ball.
It's about you. So, this isn't just about, being a DJ. It's about you. So
sure.
Yeah, of course, DJing, because with DJing comes a lot of, I've met through DJing. The greatest thing about DJing and the music is the people I've met and the stories and the history. I've met some really amazing people doing a lot of amazing things, and I just think everybody has a lot to say, So.
Some people have too much to say.
Like you.
Was
that a hint at yourself?
No,
I know what you mean.
I want to make sure to keep things lively. You know what I mean?
Oh,
the
hey,
show runs long
real quick,
and people I mean, dude, I could talk to you for hours on end.
Well, listen,
you know how it goes when you get together.
But this, I leave the start time pretty concrete, but the end time, Everybody
Okay.
has different amounts to say. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I don't want people to feel either, constricted by the time or whatever. So just it is what it is. People get bored, they leave. You know, you want to talk, you talk. So Carla's looking for your Twitch channel. She can't find. She's only finding the gamers in the search.
KEVY35.
And you stream. He does the church cathedral stream. It's Saturday, right? Saturday at 8.
Saturdays.
8:00.
Saturdays I play 9 to 10, so it's early. I usually have an audience of around 20 people, maybe sometimes a little bit more than that, sometimes a little bit less than that. And then Travis takes the reins at 10 o'clock. And when we started doing it, Travis would play for an hour and then take a pause. And I would start up our Mixler channel and play our old nights, like 4-hour segments. So we would play Mixler for 12 hours. But then after Travis paused, even at the same time the Mixler was on, he would continue playing, because he's over there having a party at his house, which is cool. And the 55-year-old goes to bed, puts on Saturday Night Live and gets in the bed.
That's okay.
Because I'm like Yoda, dude. I'm like conserving my energy, waiting for the return of Cathedral, at which time my power is wielded.
Okay. Oh, there's some reasoning behind it. Okay. See? Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Sense to it all.
If you say so. Whatever works for you. I'm in bed by usually 10 o'clock every night. Like clockwork.
All right. I see her. Okay.
Kevy Kev 35. Kevy Kev 35.
It's all one word.
Yeah.
KEVY KEV 35.
Yeah.
I think it is. Hold on.
What do you mean you think it is?
Yeah,
you don't even know?
I'm looking at my channel, which is hosting yours right now. Right over there.
Yeah, there
it
you go.
Stream it.
Yeah, yep. She found it, I think.
She found it? Okay, cool.
Yep. So I have a bit of a philosophical question for you, maybe.
Oh my God, I thought you were going to say that you were going to have another child.
So you're 55.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Been through a lot.
Yep.
As a DJ, designer, human being in general.
Indeed.
What would you tell your 18-year-old self if you could go back?
Wow. Well, the first thing I would do is
there's a lot of things you could say. What would be the main thing that you think you would say to yourself?
I'd look up the lottery numbers for that time. No, be more careful with people's feelings.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Real big. I haven't always done a great job with that.
But I'm not defending you.
From like a work standpoint or for a personal standpoint?
But I will say this. I'm going to not necessarily defend you, but there's a lot of times we say things, and I'm very guilty of this, which is why I'm very introverted and I'm extroverted, because I'm very big on respect. So I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Right.
But our humor can be very, what I think is funny, somebody might not think is funny.
Right.
A lot of times.
Sure.
So my intent is never to harm anybody or hurt their feelings, but sometimes it does, unintentionally. Sure. So
and we're
I get
much
that.
more aware of that now than we used
to
be.
Sure, absolutely.
That's part of why I said that.
Yeah.
I mean, partly. Look, I didn't get to do the things that I have wanted to do without being kind of a bull in a china shop a lot of times. You know what I mean? Whether it was, in the early days of raving, going and demanding time slots like a jackass, or, taking on design jobs or undercutting somebody so that I got to do something.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Those are all things that play into not doing a great job watching after people's feelings. You and I have a very similar kind of we have a very, very similar kind of sense of humor. We level of sensitivity and et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean? You and I have been pals for a very long time. And like I said, we pick up and right where we left off. And all of a sudden, the same things are funny to us, especially when they've actually happened to us. But, okay, say take Doug, for instance, right? A lot of like Doug is my business partner and has been for 15 years. Oh my God. It's a really long time. I've told Doug before, Doug is my second wife. You know what I mean? He was a good friend of mine and we went into business together. And a lot of people would say that's a recipe for disaster. But he is a lot of things that I am not. And I am a lot of things that he is not. You know what I mean? Sometimes when we're dealing with clients, for instance, you know, Doug will be like at the end of his rope and he's like, comes and tells me about it. And he's like, this guy needs to get a Kevy Kev. You know what I mean? Whether it's a level of tenacity or you know, talking to somebody like they're 3, which I'm totally guilty of, which is also something that's not good.
But you're also, listen, but you're also human. You know, like at some point, you got to be a little easy on yourself, you know, and if you treat somebody poorly and you notice that maybe they feel a certain way from it and you feel bad about it and you learn from it,
for sure,
you know, you can't be too hard on yourself. I mean, if you knew all the answers as far as, you know, how to be, you wouldn't need to be here anymore. So like, you know, you got to be a little bit easy on yourself with those things too. Right. I think. I'm not saying that is a, you know, free pass to go out and treat everybody poorly because, you know, if you feel bad about it after the fact, well, then you're okay. I'm just saying, as long as you're conscious of it and you try to do better, then, you know, I think it's a step in the right direction.
I mean, what a piece of shit people are that don't try to better themselves. You know what I mean? You got to learn from your mistakes, and I'm no different than anybody else is, you know, so that's where we're at.
Good. No.
So philosophical.
Yeah.
So heavy.
The air is heavy. Yeah, but listen, there's always like a 180.
It's like you're going to take that hat off and you're a fucking Buddhist monk under there.
No.
Are we going to go ring a big bell at the top of a mountain in a minute?
No. But that does lead me to my next question.
Oh boy, here we go.
Have you ever had an accident so bad in your pants that you've had to throw out your underwear?
Yes.
Okay. Now we're getting somewhere.
We don't have to elaborate on that, right?
I mean, I'd like you to if you want to open up.
No. Nobody needs to hear that. Look, you're
Listen,
the one that
nobody
told me
needs
it's a
to hear
kid's
it.
show.
Listen, I know, but
you
nobody.
Know, otherwise, we'd be
what
all.
did to me was these big titties she had.
Wow, it depends on how
We'd
graphic
be all
you want to get.
all day.
No, it depends on how graphic. Like, I don't want to know, you know. But I mean, listen, nobody needs to know it, but they want to know it.
I mean, we're talking about a very, very long time ago, and I be honest, I don't remember the details, but I do know that it has happened.
Oh, all of a sudden you don't remember.
Of course not. I'm an adult man, and I do not currently poop my pants.
Listen, nobody does it on purpose, although that's not true. The internet is a playground for people do it on purpose, for sure.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of drinking going on,
a lot of weird
especially
stuff
in my
going on.
past.
Okay,
you know, so
well,
who knows what happened? Only God knows, bro.
Well, that might be true.
And maybe you.
Sober. I'm not talking about drinking's a whole different story. A lot of things happen. Pee your bed, whatever. I've never done that, but sober, full on.
No, not since I was like, no, probably not since I was like 2. Believe that?
Absolutely not. 2?
Yeah, dude.
Well, let's just say it wasn't within recent memory, but whatever. I'm very careful who I ask that question to. It's a loaded question.
Thank God. It's a loaded question. It is literally a loaded question.
Listen, there's always an option to pass with me. I'm not going to push anybody.
I wasn't informed of that.
You don't get that option.
Pass.
You don't get that option.
Oh, shit.
You're exempt from that. I got to be careful around people I don't know that well.
All right, what's next on the list, counselor?
Actually, I think we pretty much covered everything I wanted to cover with you.
Oh my God, thank God. Whew. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I could probably think of more, but I try to take it pretty easy.
Thanks.
I think the accident. I think the accident in the pants is like what I like. I like to kind of get to just really. It really allows me to really know somebody real well.
You don't know me already?
Yeah, but I didn't know that, so you can always know more, no matter how much you think you know somebody.
Have you crapped your pants?
Yes, absolutely. But my only memory of that, I was probably in middle school.
Okay.
Not my adult years. No accident, not adult years.
Well,
and
that's
last
good.
year, yeah, definitely good. I'm still in
So
control.
adult of you.
Thank you. I remember it was so bad. I went out to the woods. I had them I just threw them out in the woods. I didn't want any. I didn't want. There was no saving them. Didn't want to throw them out. I just threw them out in the woods.
I can tell you one quick story.
Oh, I knew it.
As we're going.
As soon as I opened up about it, yeah.
The throwing out in the woods thing kind of reminds me. And my sister Casey has heard this, and people in my family have heard this many times. So in the early 90s, might have been late 80s, actually. I can't even remember what year this was.
Hold on real quick. Your wife, no, I'm sorry. Listen, not your wife. Not your wife. What did I call her? Your wife. Your sister.
Ms. Grimm or Heather?
No, your sister.
Casey.
Says if he knew the coffee can story, he wouldn't think this was the funniest story. Do you know anything about a coffee can story?
I was
is that where you're going?
Okay.
Okay.
So this story has been told many times. There's probably no friends I have out there that haven't heard this before because it's a good one. But it's not crapping in the pants, but it's still pretty good. So in the late 80s, my dad lived outside of D.C., about 35 minutes outside of D.C., in a place called Clarksburg. And he lived on this, stretch of land that had, like a horses next door. He didn't have horses, you know what I mean? He wasn't balling like that, but he had a little stretch of land there next to some people that had horses. So he was always like, hey, kids, come visit me, blah, 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 blah. So we took him up on it. Both Casey and I at the same time took him up on it. So my dad, who was very, very particular, wasn't used to having people in the house. All of a sudden he had 4 house guests because I brought the girl I was dating and Casey brought her roommate. We get there separately, but close to the same time, definitely on the same day. My dad announces to us, all right, kids, you got to be real careful with the water use in the house. We're on a septic system here. And I'm having some trouble with the septic tank right now. I'm actually having it work done. Sure enough, we look out in the backyard. There's this huge hole back. It looked like a bomb went off back there. So we're like, well, what do you mean? So we had to take showers that were 45 seconds or less. And we were asked to use the restrooms at this country club he was a member of that was 15 minutes away. Like, hold it till you get there.
This is going nowhere good.
It's going somewhere really good. So we're like, okay, blah, 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 and we lived inside of those rules for a couple of days. Well, one day, Casey wasn't with me when we were doing this, but we went down to DC, showed the girl I was with, monuments and tourist sites and all that kind of stuff, because we were Casey and I were both born in DC, and came home, been out hours shopping, got shopping bags, take the metro all the way out to the end of the line, jump in a car, get to my dad's house. Don't even think about it. Get in there. Get in the house, go down in the basement bathroom where we had to take our 45-second showers and just drop a giant deuce down there. And I'm just like, oh, God, thank God. So about 30 seconds after I'm basically done, the garage door in the room next to me, because I'm in the basement already, starts opening. And I'm in an instant panic because my dad is home. And I'm like, oh, shit, what am I going to do? Literally, oh, shit. Well, the bottom little curvy pipe behind the toilet was leaking. So he had this tin chock full of nuts can back there sitting on its lid. And I took that can and scooped out my business, put the lid back on it, put it back under the toilet, and ran upstairs and grabbed a magazine like I'd sitting there the whole time. And I can hear my dad coming in the door, like, and he's like, boom, boom, boom. Who put the lid on? Kevin? And I'm like sitting there going, what the? My thought instantly was like, did it have my fucking name on it? What the fuck? And I come to, I'm like, what's up? What's up? He's like, come over here. And I'm standing at the top of the stairs and he's holding the can, pointing it at me up the stairs. Did you do this, son? That's barbaric, son. And he's like beside himself. He can barely get the words out. And I'm like terrified and laughing at the same time. And he's like, take it. Get there. Come take it, son. Take it outside. Throw it in the field. What's wrong with you? So
it's barbaric.
There's that. You've heard that before, right? Come on. Now I just told the fucking world. But I mean, anybody who hadn't heard it already, my fam has heard it 1,000 times because unfortunately my dad's not with us anymore. So one of the favorite things for when I'm around my dad's brothers and sisters, a huge Irish Catholic family,
ridiculous,
is for me to tell that story or talk like my dad, because like, whether you want it or not, you cannot escape becoming your parent in one way. Your inflections, the way you say things, the way you look, you're going to end up being your mom or your dad or your mom and your dad.
That's funny.
So they love to hear me tell that story.
That's funny. Well, thanks for all your time, man. Always a pleasure.
Of course. Anytime, brother.
Always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
We can get into it in as long and as many times as you want.
Yeah, for sure. I really appreciate it. Is there anything else that you want to plug for yourself? Anything coming up? Anybody locally in Columbus that might?
Well, definitely check out our streams on Saturday. There's
how long do they go?
3,000 streams.
Sorry to interrupt. How long does it go? How long? I know you DJ on it, but how long does it go?
I play for an hour. Then Travis usually plays for 2-3 hours. Sometimes I come upstairs and go to bed late, and I got it up here on the television, and he's still playing at like 1 a.m. and he starts at 10.
So you just leave it open, as far as like you would just leave it open as far as finish time.
When he starts playing, yeah. I mean, I cut my show at 10.
Yeah.
Then we flip over. I do the raid thing. We take all my viewers and pop over to him. And because we've played the Mixler shows so many times, I started to notice the audience for that kind of going down, and they've all heard, us, everything is on those Mixler shows, us drunk at the end of the night, saying last call.
Yeah.
Please be careful getting home. We want to see you back again and all that shit. And everybody's just like, okay. You know what I mean? Like either like over the past year, they were either so annoyed at having heard it so many times or sad that we weren't actually in the club. So we still do have a pretty good audience for the people that want to come and listen to because we're still playing the new stuff as though we were in the club today.
Right. Yeah.
And I can say this, plans are already being made to reopen. Our crowd for Goth Industrial Nights probably is a bit more conservative as far as COVID fears go. I mean, there's clubs down here already at full capacity and without any social distancing and all kinds of other shit. And everybody's, oh yeah, for sure. There's nightclubs down here. I mean, look at Florida, dude.
I guess I'm not surprised.
Everything's like full blast down there. But at one point, we were considering doing some, socially distant, partially streaming from Ace of Cups, trying to keep people, related to it. And we put out a survey. Now, this was a long time ago. This is beginning of last summer, when we didn't know how bad it was going to get. We really had no idea, but things were kind of like in a lull of a wave, and no vaccines, no nothing. But the answers of the survey, of the people that took the survey, of our regulars that took it, were basically that, yeah, we're not into it. Yeah, we miss it. Please keep us informed, but yeah, we don't want to go. We don't think it's safe. So we've rested on that. And truth is, we've talked to other goth industrial nights. There's a big one in Cincinnati called Darkotica. Our buddy Steven Eckstein is the guy who pulls that together, and he has guest DJs down there. I know that they now are starting to do, they're starting their planning of the reopening, just like we're starting the planning of the reopening. Now, we got a little juxtaposition going on. The Ace of Cups has changed hands since the pandemic began. We're still welcome there, but we may try some other things. We're not really sure what's going on yet, but we are making plans, although we are not ready to announce anything yet, for getting things going again sometime this summer.
Nice.
So other than that, we're going to stick right here in the living rooms and my office of mess here. It's like I exploded in here.
It looks great.
And we're just gonna keep it going like that, dude. Try to keep people interested.
Nice.
That makes
I'm gonna
sense.
have to make it down for one.
It's super for a cathedral night.
Yeah.
You've got to come down, dude. I mean, it's really, really fun.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
We've actually had so far we've had one guest DJ
well,
on
not
our
even
streams.
like I'm not gonna invite myself to DJ, just to, you know what I'm saying, like just to hang out.
Right. Well, be honest, before you could get on the bill, you'd have to be in the room. You have to know what we're doing. I have full confidence you could do it, but it is different from other dance music nights. Here's a good for instance. We had a gazillion DJs play at Juicy. All of them did a great job in one way or another. Of all the Juicy DJs that played, only one really has ever been able to make the transition to be a guest at Cathedral. Only one.
Well, I mean, that makes sense. Different crowd, man. I mean, it's just different, you know.
Different crowd. He also has a very dark heart.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, he now works for me at Fireball Press as well. So great dude, great DJ. He's played at Cathedral a bunch of times. He goes by Egotronic.
Okay.
I'm sure he'll be back again, but I'd love to have you down for sure.
That'd be fun. Well, thank you again, Kevin. Really appreciate it.
Sure thing, bud.
Really appreciate it. Always a pleasure.
All right, buddy. Don't cry.
No, I'm not going to cry. I started doing, so I'm going to be doing this every Thursday. Well, I'm going to try to do every Thursday, 7-ish. And then I started doing like a Saturday here and there because I have some UK guys that I want to be talking to. So
you got to get on earlier for that.
Well, I'm getting on noon on Saturdays, Eastern time.
Yep. Because that's 5 o'clock for
right.
them.
Yep. So I had to do an earlier one on Saturdays. So
cool.
Got a few of those coming up and, just keeping them going.
Sweet.
Thanks, Kevin. Hope everybody has a great evening. No, I love you too, man. Everybody have a great evening. Thanks for tuning in. And guess we'll see you next time.
Okay.
What did it to me was these big titties she had.
Yeah, on that note. Good night, everybody.
Nighty night.
See you, Kev.